I mean, that can help in a lot of cases. But what about things like a county election official taking a video with her camera of what she thinks are just something, ballots being destroyed, or he thinks are ballots being stolen or spoiled or something like that? That's the kind of thing that, I mean, it's easy, probably, it's definitely easy in my newsroom, probably in yours too, David. That one we, would wait for verification. But there could be just an onslaught of things like that on the night of the election, or in that kind of critical period, a few days after, or maybe weeks, as you said, Gordon, that it might take for a winner in the national races to be announced. What do we do? How do we combat that? How do we deal with that?
Not so easy. And and Scott, I think what adds to the problem, we saw in 2020 examples of video that was hard to interpret, for example, but that was really before the AI enhanced internet that we now have. And the cost of creating really persuasive images, video, audio, cost has come down so much, and the the software is so good that I anticipate, what we're going to get examples of, what look like really significant issues, probably on both sides, that turn out to be AI generated, that are not impossible yet, but difficult to identify as AI generated. We use a ton of tools, I'm sure NBC does as well, to try to identify AI generated content. But the machines are getting better and better and harder um, to for humans to be able to know, is this real or is this AI?
David, go ahead.
And one thing we're trying to do is just do stories about how it will not be surprising if we don't know who's won the presidential election on election night. That's simply because Pennsylvania, the most important state in this year, didn't change its counting rules. They will not start counting mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania until after the polls close. Other states have already started counting them. And so that simple logistical reason is why we might not know on election night. And don't be alarmed, viewers and readers, if you don't see a result that quickly. And then other stories about just reporting about these kind of things, these deep fake videos, debunking them, the TikTok debunking effort that we have as well, just so that people, and I look, I think that it's what, was mentioned earlier about people not wanting to spread false information. I think people, when they see this stuff, they sincerely believe it. And if we can, explain and expose more of this, how this happens, what the goals are of other countries, to get people to kind of hesitate, and to not jump to conclusions, and to understand it might take some time, or just something we're doing as well. And an excellent Jane Tim, who's a very strong writer for NBC News website, very good on election things and conspiracy theories, is just explaining some explanatory pieces on, here's how counting works, here's how certification works, here's what the role of a Secretary of State is, here's what the role is of election observers from both parties that are in all these polling places. And one positive note, it's very clear, according to government officials and sort of independent technical experts, and Gordon, I hope I'm right on this, but there's very little concern of that any foreign nation could, penetrate enough voting systems, voting machines, to change the outcome of this election. That, it's a huge, disparate local and state election system. More than 9,000 different constituencies or counting entities are counting these votes. And it's there have been improvements in the cyber security of voting machines and the use of paper ballots as backups. So we don't expect that to be an issue. And if there are reports of machines being taken over, I feel comfortable advising my reporters to say there's, those in the past, government officials and, independent experts have said this is unlikely. So we're not sure if that claim of, a hacking of a voting machine that's, being made on social media is true.
Gordon, I think you answered, Von Murray asked about how can reporters access the debunking tool. That answer might have just gone to the host and panelists. Do you want to say what that is?
Yes, just write to me, and I'll add you to the list. Gordon.Crovitz at newsguardtech.com.
Okay. That sounds great. Well, I think we want to end it there. I thank you both very much and especially David, for you ending on an upbeat note at the end. Thank you. I was going to bring up a question in the chat about what if power goes out in Pennsylvania, but I think that was a rhetorical question.
It will come back on eventually, is what we will.
There you go.
There will be, and it's important for election public officials to be transparent and say, we are extending voting hours. Say that immediately.
Transparency. Yeah, yes. I think transparency is going to be very, very important. And it goes beyond the scope of foreign actors intervening, but it's really, it could happen anywhere. Disinformation and misinformation, domestic as well as international. So thank you very much, Gordon and David. Appreciate it. It's been very nice to spend time with you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And
thanks to the OPC.
Take care. Thank you.